Welcome back to Dum Dum's 2099, where improvisers who've never roleplayed before journey into a futuristic world of Dungeons and Dragons. I am the Grand Wizard Bukake, your host. Alyn, Honour System, and Declan are trying to fight their way to Bee-zos' fulfillment Citadel. Stopping in the tech hut, Alyn recharged her spells, and Honour System and Declan retooled their weapons before the Zeus cannon started firing from space. How will they escape a locked-down meat lab before jump troopers arrive or the cannon recharges? Find out next on Dums and Dragons 2099.
You find yourselves in the meat lab, one of the most unfortunately named pods in the superstructure of Jacinda Bee-zos' base here on the moon. Having narrowly escaped the wrath of the Zeus cannon as the fulfillment center began launching its new homes down at the surface of Faerun 2099, you escaped the tech wing, having upgraded your equipment slightly and made some necessary repairs, and only to have the orbiting cannon unleash its fury down upon the planet's surface. Good news being, of course, that it is set to just like little itty bitty baby shots, but those little itty bitty baby shots still blow up shit. So I've nearly escaped that, and having to drag Alyn in her oversized suit, you managed to make it to the meat lab. Unfortunately, upon entering the meat lab, the three of you, having taken off your helmets, found yourselves sealed in as there was a sign of contaminants. Now, we did go over what this place looked like last episode, but for us, that was like 5 million years ago. And for you listening, it may have been a week ago or it was just like 2 minutes ago. Either way, I think it behooves us to just go over what this place looks like yet again. Cool. So basically, as with everything, it's kind of a honeycomb-shaped dome. This one is much larger than the tech wing you were previously in. You get the sense that, as makes sense based on kind of the map you initially saw, where the tech wing and the med lab were smaller because they each served a different function, this thing has to feed this entire complex and everyone who lives on it. So it's kind of a massive dome, vaguely honeycomb shaped from the outside. Inside, it's humid. There's just like heavy humidity. There's vegetation all around you. Think very much like Poison Ivy's lab in any of the comics, or specifically Joel Schumacher's seminal Batman and Robin.
It's the only one I can think of.
It's the only one any of us can think of to our own detriment. But yes, so similar to that, where there's very much like tech stuff everywhere, but the tech stuff is kind of wrapped in vines. And you get the sense that that's in part because a lot of this vegetation is being used to help create food as well. It's not a proper farm by any stretch, but there's a lot of weird, like genetically engineered plants that are like just growing various plant proteins all around you. And again, like if you've ever been somewhere like sort of beautiful and tropical, or inside a greenhouse, it's a humidity you can breathe. Honour System, obviously, this doesn't have an effect on you, but for Declan and Alyn, like coming off of a very self-contained breathing apparatus into an environment where you're breathing in heat and moisture is like a very odd feeling, odd sensation. So, as always, we use north, south, east, west because it's just easiest for kind of general instruction. Most of the east and west walls, or not even walls, but like sections of this lab are filled with vats. Now, these are like stacked too high, and you can almost think of them as the chamber in a revolver. Where it's got kind of that central axis and then bullets. But if the bullets were like Resident Evil style specimen tubes. So like big 6 foot tall glass tubes with various kind of Cronenbergian meat monsters floating in them. This very much isn't a genetically engineered, like, bioweapons situation, but more so if all we want are like if we just want pork shoulder, we're just going to engineer a biomass of pork shoulders and then just take that cut rather than having a pig floating in a tube. Right. So a bunch of weird biomasses. But you can get the sense that a lot of those are almost they're almost being used as like the genetic base for other things, because the main event seems to be these giant meat panels. The meat panels, if you remember, are kind of weaving frames, kind of like the doors from Monsters, Inc., that are throughout the stacked too high, kind of throughout the east and west walls of this chamber, with mechanical gimbaled arms and kind of mechanical spiders weaving meat protein together across these stretched out things. We talked last week a little bit about the Doctor Who, like stretchy face, Last Human.
Yes.
If you don't have that frame of reference, if you've ever been to like a Korean barbecue or you've just had like really, really thin sliced meat, just imagine that, but like stretched out over a 6 foot tall frame, and slowly being 3D printed by these gimbaled arms. There's also like spritzers spraying these things constantly to keep them nice and moist. And it's just generally like a weird, highly engineered food production facility. A lot of these things are set up in racks. So like a slide rack or Dexter's Kill, like blood slide rack. So just kind of like when you turn to look at them, they are the meat side is facing inward and they're just kind of like lined up. And instead, panels are pulled out to be spritzed and stitched. So there's kind of almost like panels facing you. Behind them, you can see the storage rack. So there's a fuck ton of meat going on in this place. You're in like a proper nightmare deli of the future. So of the sort of giant specimen vats that are kind of arranged on either side. Each of these has a series of 4 kind of control consoles and sort of a metallic ring around the outside, sort of like at a museum when there's a cylindrical exhibit and they have the little panels giving you information. So various places where you can like change the sample, learn information about the sample, or rechamber new samples. Again, these things are stacked too high, so there's kind of storage above. A good visual for me in this, and hopefully for you as well. If not, you should just watch the movie several more times because you deserve it. In Jurassic Park, when Nedry goes to steal all the sample tubes and he like pulls them out, and there's just a complex system that lets you flip between them. It's that kind of situation. Makes sense given the fact that like a bunch of executives and bigwigs from the former conglomerata have just been flown up here. That there would be, in addition to just like here's your meat tube for the night, like, oh, you need a steak? We'll make you a steak. Like, oh, you want weird space lobster? We'll make you some weird space lobster. So it really does seem to be set up for both kind of the luxury version as well as more of a Soylent Green situation where they can just be like, here's a compacted Snowpiercer tube of assorted proteins. On the southeast sort of corner, there is a large desk setup, as you'll recall, with a sort of a computer console on it, as well as just papers scattered everywhere, notebooks. You can see there are a bunch of sort of like Vitruvian Man style like dissection diagrams pinned up on the wall. Behind that, there are some larger monitors that are kind of obscured. You get the sense that this is the kind of person who uses Post-it notes over their monitor just because like they're so laser focused on what they're doing that they are willing to sacrifice monitor space for just like convenience.
Just a full Michael Scott.
Yeah, full Michael
Covered
Scott.
him.
Yeah, you got to get
Post-its
more
love it.
monitors so you have places for your additional Post-it notes. And it's a little bit of the Charlie Day like conspiracy map, a little bit of the Michael Fassbender's evil robots, like alien diagrams in Alien Covenant, where it's just very much like how do we make an all flank steak cow? Okay, well here's some thoughts. So a lot of that sort of business, and various plates set up as well. There's like a little like dining table situation with like plates and cutlery and a decanter. It doesn't look like this has been used recently. It does certainly, like there's some dirty plates and things, but it's not like the candle is still smoking and like it for an operation of this size. And I think for setting up the orbital fulfillment center and beginning the launches, like the orbital launches down to the surface, everyone is likely in the Citadel, which tracks with what you've seen so far. You haven't run into, like there weren't lab technicians in the tech bay. Presumably there weren't in the med bay as well. The launch of the primer hoods is a pretty big deal and something that Bee-zos would want all hands on deck for. So you've got that kind of station there. In the center of the room, you've got a classic Star Wars prison bay like command setup. So it's kind of there's a central theoretically looks like it might be a projector. So for getting like video comms and other things. With kind of just one of those like octagon seating arrangements around it with control panels and seats. There are 4 seats, so this kind of looks like the place where you would have your comms people and everyone else just monitoring what's going on within the bay itself. Likely not anyone who's involved in the actual growing of the meat, but more so the people whose jobs are to oversee just the coming and going daily operations of the space. In the northwest corner, there is a sort of a large sort of technical structure set up. It's the consoles around it almost look like Chief O'Brien's setup in Next Gen. So like just kind of like a big wide console with 2 other side consoles looking inward at this thing. It's got a number of gimbaled arms similar to the ones you've seen stitching the meat, kind of hanging down from above it. And it looks a little bit like one of those full body airport scanners. So just like a big frame with nothing in it. It looks a little bit different from the stitching frames, but you can't really tell from where you are how. But it definitely it doesn't look the same, but it's of similar build. So it's kind of in the northwest corner. There's an exit at immediately north of you. There's an entrance immediately south of you. Unfortunately, both of those have been sealed, and you've got like flashing alert lights as the definitely not Alexa voice informs you that there contaminants have been detected in the room. Now, the Zeus can's going to take some time to recharge. From everything you've seen, it powers up quickly, but it uses a lot of power. So odds are that you've got a few minutes. And again, as Declan determined, luckily the Bee-zos' troops don't know you're here. They know that you are somewhere on the surface, but for whatever reason, they're not getting comms from within this space. So you were locked in. You were trapped. We do have a cannon that will fire at some point, but that doesn't solve the immediate problem of being trapped in this meat lab. As you recall, your initiative order is Alyn, Declan, Honour System. What do you do?
Okay. Well, they're not going to fire on us here, though, right?
Yeah, that's a really cute idea. Okay, and he's just going to vault over to that like planning desk that looks like the most senior person's position. And Deck is just going to plug in his hacker's device because he's determined. He's like, I'm going to do something fucking clever or something fucking stupid, or I'm going to turn out I can't do this, but I'm feeling fucking lucky.
All right, so go ahead and roll me a hacking check, please. Ooh. And you can have advantage because you're using your like jacked up super tool.
That is still only a 15. I rolled a 2 and a 4.
So immediately the console screen at the desk leaps to life with a cartoony image of a guy in a lab coat with one large bionic eye, like an unnecessarily large bionic eye. That almost seems to have warped the shape of his face a bit because it's not like this is the size of my orbital cavity. It's like it's big, so it's kind of like a pixelated image of that, and he kind of is just shaking a finger at you, and he says, "You're not allowed inside the Flavorporium. You're not allowed inside the Flavorporium."
All right, so I tried the clever thing. Now I'm going to try to brute force this motherfucker. And it's the equivalent of going from the like trying to talk the guy down to just the headshot of the system. He just wants to use his nastiest, most brute force hacks.
All right, we'll swing back around to see how that goes in a moment. You also jumped initiative order, but that's okay because it was cool. Alyn.
Alyn seemed unsure, so I went.
It's cool. She was holding action until you went, and now you've gone, so now we're back to her. Alyn, what do you do?
I
guess you did say maybe they won't shoot us, which could be considered your action, but I imagine there's other things you'd like to get to as well.
I just go to the exit door and just start like doing all the things you would do in like Dumbfay room, just like knocking on it. Can you push it? Can you pry it open? just, I mean,
Can you roll me an athletics check, please?
yeah. Oh, that's so -1 from 14. Oh, that's 13. That's okay.
I mean, no amount of dice rolling would have helped you here, but you start prying at it, and the Alexa voice is just constantly like, "I do not understand. Would you like to hear the weather on Faerun? I do not understand. Would you like to hear music?" Alyn, even though you try the logical things you would do in dumb Faerun, but even with your kind of somewhat more limited tech knowledge, like you can tell this is several layers deep. Like it's not just like one door closed. It was like door closed, emergency door closed, fire door dropped down over it, which I think makes sense to you because like even having as limited an understanding of the future as you do, like food up here has got to be a pain in the ass. And I think to your earlier question, like they're very serious about this thing. To Declan's point, they'll probably still shoot it with a space laser because, the terrorists they were scared of arrived on the moon, which is kind of concerning. But as a daily operation piece, it's pretty heavily locked down.
Do you think these weird like meat protein things would count as like a creature in terms of draining its life force?
No, because they aren't alive.
The plants are alive, though.
The plants are alive. That's true. But I think if we make the argument you could drain plants' life force, then like you just have an army of barefoot monsters walking through the grass, just being like, "I am invincible."
Or it's just so little life, you know. It's just like drinking a small glass of water. That's all you get.
Yeah, you feel refreshed, but you gain no HP. It's like the old joke about in 4th edition, they had a warlock spell where if you killed something, you could teleport, which was amazing. I had a lot of fun with that. But then the argument became like, well, if you just carried a bag of mice, could you not just kill a mouse every time you want to teleport? And it's
Why does it have to be as big as a mouse? Even that seems like needlessly gross.
Yeah.
It's a bag full of ants.
Exactly. We weren't exactly looking for like the ethical warlock, just being like, but which one? They're like, I want to murder port. Anyway, so the moral of the story is no, you can't drain the plants. I mean, you could kill some of them if you wanted to, but you would gain no benefit other than adding eco to your terrorist name.
Well, then Alan just says, I mean, do I just start aciding this door?
You should put your helmet back on before you do that, but yes.
Okay, well, helmet's on, so...
Oh, shit, I'll put my helmet on then. Fuck.
And I'm just gonna start hurling acid at the door to try to...
Great. So as soon as you put your helmet back on, there's just that moment of like, but maybe, you hear the same voice that was on the computer come through over the speakers, clearly interrupting Alexa because Alexa can't be as snarky as this tone is calling for. And it just says, "Nice try, contaminants, but there's no way you're destroying my hard work." And Alexa says, "Contamination still noted, though wearing suits. Nice try, contaminants."
Is it my turn?
It is. Yeah.
I want to use my wrist-mounted SMG and just shoot at anything that looks like it detects contaminants. Any sort of contamination sensors. I would like to numb those senses.
Cool. Can you roll me a detect contaminants is not a skill on these sheets. Come on, Carbon, get with it.
But devices that detect contaminants. That's what I'm looking for.
I totally get that. That's what I was aiming for. Let's go with I'll say either engineering. Yeah, let's go with engineering, Tyler.
Okay.
To see what Honour System would recognize as sensors that detect contaminants.
That's a 12.
12. So this space is so overwhelmed with like vines and vegetation that I think you like shoot out a couple of things, but honestly, like you can't get a clear, like unfortunately there isn't, it's not like a fire alarm where it's like a nice clear thing you can hit. But yes, just like eyeballing it or like digital scanning, eyeballing it isn't enough to determine where these sensors might be.
Okay.
But you shoot some shit. Like, it's spectacular.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. All right, and then I got to roll for something because we're at the bottom of the round. Okay, I rolled a 1, so you're fine for now. Top of the round. We've kind of rejigged the order, so let's just stay in that order now. Sorry, Alyn.
That's fine. Alyn
I'll just do a new
do.
meat hut order on my on my thing. Meat hut sounds like a weird like only barbecue version of Pizza Hut, where it's just like, come on in, we'll just deliver meat.
Oh.
All right, Declan, you're up. You're up first in the meat hut. You're trying to brute force your way through. Do you have a skill or something for this, or is this just
further hacking? It's just flavor, baby.
Flavor? Yeah, I mean, if there's one station to look for flavor at, the Flavorporium station is the one. Okay, so give me a hacking check again. This time no advantage. You get the sense that much like a phone with a lock system, like trying to brute force into this thing, it's getting smarter.
Yeah, he woke it up.
Yeah.
All right, here we go, you clever little bastard. Let's try this on for size. Nat 20.
Oh,
Hey.
You aren't hello, me. You are certainly welcome here in the Flavorporium. And then like the gift just gives you like a double thumbs up and disappears. And you find yourself, the terminal opens up. And immediately you're just bombarded with open tabs. Like there are just too many tabs open on this system. But you can see that there's a lot of them are again dealing with like flavor profiles, and like there's notes and files that are all open. So I imagine you're just like shutting those down, like downsizing them.
Oh yeah, he doesn't get any of that.
But clearly, kind of where someone has been tracking the flavor, the Flavorporium tone does seem to be correct. That this is kind of like whoever's desk this is responsible for figuring out the food situation. Once you get down to the desktop, you have like admin access to it, which is great. What are you specifically looking for?
All right, he's got a couple of things. He'd like to know if he can manually open a fucking door, because that would be useful. Is he hooked into any other meat labs? And those are the priorities for him, are those two things, I think.
Okay. So the door doesn't actually seem to be controlled by this console, which I think, Declan, for you would make sense, because whoever designed themselves as a gift to yell at people trying to hack clearly isn't who you want in charge of security anywhere. Like,
fair enough.
It's not useful, and it's antagonizing to work the hacker. Like,
so this place actually spared no expense. They didn't like lowball it.
Yeah. It's like, like Dodgen didn't get cheap on them, but like Hammond did. So, so you run up against a bit of a wall there. That said, in terms of other meat labs, no, this is the only one. However, it is listed as like Meat Lab Alpha, and you can see from this, like, as you're kind of clicking through on a long, slow zoom into boxes that for some reason have information instead of folders in this Unix system that you're finding that there are plans for more of these across the moon. As you know, the Citadel, like in terms of the colonization of the moon, the Citadel went in first, and then they hollowed out the core to create the fulfillment center. And now they're starting to build the like nice things. They've probably been living off rations to this point. And now, like, this place has been established and clearly has been here for a little bit. There will be more, because I think from what you can tell, like, this place is meant to be a permanent base of operations for Bee-zos, and a lot of people to live up here, which also, again, kind of makes sense based on you couldn't reach them up here if you wanted to. Like, if you hadn't been on that ship and they didn't have any more ships down there, you're just kind of fucked, and they can just keep launching primer hoods from space until they've rebuilt the world. So that said, though, it is linked into the local network. You can likely pick up incoming communications. You don't see like it's not set up for a lot of back and forth, but you can probably pick up on like whatever the cast is to the official channels. And then there's just a lot of information about the meat lab itself and kind of how it works.
Okay. Is there any way I can deactivate the contaminant alarm?
No.
Okay. He would like to select all on all the plans for the meat labs anywhere that he can and just delete them, because they're going to be less likely to destroy this place if they can't recreate it easily. So that's step one.
Okay.
And then he will take the incoming comms and transfer it to his ear bead so that he can hear if anything comes onto the local network. There's nobody to like reach out to. Everybody just wants to fucking kill them. So
yeah.
Those will be his two moves.
The local channel, you're immediately bombarded with an overly friendly, like, there's just that like shitty canned music that is usually used for like a pan across a lake on like a corporate video that's going to explain like what chemical spills are, where it's just like an overly pleasant voice. And you kind of come in midway through as it's explaining like every primer hood will be equipped with the latest and greatest for easy living and, of course, productivity. After all, the world has been chaos for too long. And now, under the watchful eye of our Lord God Bee-zos, everyone will contribute equally to the hive. And it just starts like listing all the features, and like it literally just sounds like what you'd find on like a submarine, where it's like the least amount of things you could do humanly for someone to be able to survive, or like a prison where it's like there's a sink that's also the toilet. It's also kind of part of the bed. Don't worry about it. It's efficient. And they just kind of run through that. And it's just on like, it's not on a constant loop, but you can tell that there's kind of a long, they're broadcasting the sales pitch right now throughout the Citadel, likely as part of the launch operations, which does indicate to you that a lot of the people who came up didn't fully understand what was happening up here. Which also kind of makes sense because this is insane.
Terrible.
Yeah.
All right, I got in. It didn't do fucking shit. So, how's team melting a door and shooting the room?
As Alyn continues to just throw acid.
Yeah.
Like-
Your guess is correct. So, how's it going, Alyn?
Well, yeah, not great. Hang on. Hang on, just a sec. And Alyn misty steps to the other side of the exit.
Do you know what's on the other side of the exit so you can misty step to it?
Hang on.
You've seen the entrance.
Oh, fuck it. It's a place that I can see, and it's opaque walls, isn't it?
Yep.
Oh, fuck me. Okay, so I can't do that.
There's just a puff of mist as you slam against the door and stumble backward, shaking acid off your suit.
Now, I'm hoping that did more than it looks like it did.
What were you trying to do?
I was trying to get on the other side of the door so I could see if there was like a hat, like a...
Why didn't you?
Because I can't see it. If I could see it...
Declan, do we have a security camera feed of the other side of that door?
Well, let me see what I got on here. I'm fucking in. Do I have a security camera feed, Tom?
Not from this console. This console is solely interested in, like, you have analytics. Yeah, but yes, honestly. You have analytics for the entire room. So, like, you have monitoring for all of the vats. You have, like, diagnostics for all of the gear that's in here. But, Declan, from what you found so far, this isn't the console that controls the room. There is useful information in it. It's just not, like...
useful to us in this current circumstance.
It's the kind of thing that, like, a mad scientist would want, not what a security professional would want.
System, looking at that wall there, do you think you could make a hole through it? Just one sweet katana strike, leave a little hole, Alyn can look out and fucking move.
My out-of-character assumption is no, but Honour System would like to, I guess, make an assessment of that, if that's doable at all.
Yeah, this thing is
it's
very
protecting us from the vacuum of space.
It is, and more importantly, it's protecting like the soul,
the meats. Yeah,
the soul food source. It's protecting that sweet jerky from the cold vacuum of space. And it's a highly controlled environment. So like you might be able to fuck with the environmental settings in here by like hacking some stuff up and breaking it. Yeah. But you get
if I had picked a better shtick for a character other than robot with sword, I might have been able to do something.
Whoa. You're more than that. You also have a wrist gun.
That's right. Honour will very briefly kind of look around the room for any obvious weak points, not finding any, and say, no, Declan, I don't believe I can cut through these walls.
All right, then, system, you try, take a look at that big fucking thing over there. And he's just going to point to that giant Miles O'Brien station and be like, you look at that. I'm going to try to figure out one of these fucking doors.
Cool. And Ryan, because you rolled a 20, I feel like I should give you one more thing. You can't disable the lockdown protocol from here, but you can probably learn more about it. Like somewhere in this computer, there's probably an explanation because this is the administrator's desk. Now, you can still go try and fuck with the doors. There's also like the central console thing that you guys haven't touched. But for what that's worth, I just didn't want you to not have that information. But it's not like there's not like a fucking folder or like a button that's like disable thing.
Yeah.
But given that it is like, again, the best way to think of this is like if it's something the mad scientist would want control of, or would want like input on, or would have designed, it's on this control. It's
then
on this
yes,
console.
yeah. So
if it's a security piece, it would be on the other ones.
Then he'll stay here and dive deep into that, because usually if you can find context, there's like one thing you can do to turn it off instead of running around to try every goddamn panel in the room with this hacker's device.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So Honour System, you make your way, I assume you're going to do what?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, great. We can kind of drop out of order for this, I think. I'm just going to keep rolling dice once all three of you have done a thing. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or not do a thing, as it may be.
I mean, failing is still a thing. So Honour System, you make your way over to the large system. I've already kind of described what it looks like. What would you like to do with this thing?
Determine what it does and what it's how it can interact with the room.
Okay. Are you examining it from because basically you can either do computing or engineering. Computing would be like booting it up and seeing if you can ascertain what it does from its system
Definitely
menus and
more
things.
like computing, yeah.
Okay. So rather than like crawling around and trying to see what's plugged into what and why?
No, yeah. More through the system, yeah.
Okay. So go ahead with computing, please.
A 3.
So you go to boot it up and you're just immediately assailed by like deep menus. Like it's not, there's no UX on this thing. Like there's no
too many tabs open on this.
Yeah, too many tabs. Oh, well, this one is more like just if you were like, I'm going to open this website and it was just HTML code and you're like, oh, aha. Like it's a more professional.
Why would the website be HTML code in the meat fabrication bubble, with the spiders weaving meat strands and not just meatspin.com?
The future is a scary place.
It could be meatspin.com and it's just the HTML. It's just the bones of it and the guts. And I can't see through the matrix to see the swinging dick.
Yeah. Yeah, Amazon had some very specific requirements for their menus.
Right.
So
don't go to meatspin.com. Anyone who's listening to this and doesn't know what awful joke I'm making, do not search meatspin.com.
Yeah, because telling people not to go to a thing they haven't heard of that you've referenced as a joke is definitely a way to stop them from doing
whatever,
it.
Man.
Yeah, it's cool. You've absolved yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, depressingly, it doesn't work anymore. It's just ads for porn sites.
All right.
There you go.
Knock yourselves out.
Yeah,
Go to meatspin.com.
Ryan being
Fully endorse doing it then.
Ryan just being the bodyguard leaping in front of the bullet for the
I was like, I wanted to
session.
know.
Yep. In any case, no, it is not meatspin.com. It is just a series of kind of badly designed menus that a technician who knew what they were doing could use, but that are like. Now, that said, you can absolutely try again next round, but your first attempt, unfortunately, yields nothing. Alyn, you've had no luck with your Misty Stepping or your acid. What do you do?
Guys, give me something to do. This is literally just like, and I like look into, kind of open my like, I don't know, what is it? You can't really open my suit, but I kind of like
take the helmet off and like
pull the neck part forward, just like Billy, anything you can do.
And Billy skitters up like up your neck and just like clings to your cheek, and seems to kind of like look around a bit, and like doesn't really know what to do with this, because really, like, is this where he was born? Is this what he is? What is this horrible place? And he starts like tapping your cheek as though it's your hand thinking. But he's also like clutching the side of your face as he does it. And I'll roll for Billy Fingers.
Any way. We just got to get out of here, bud.
Yeah. All right. So he rolled really well. So he finishes tapping, and then with one finger he points at the central consoles, and then just kind of does like a roll of the hand in like a perhaps kind of way.
But any more clues, bud?
Alyn, are you asking the ball of fingers for verbal cues? I don't think it's if it points, just go look. It's saying this once.
Jeez, I'm looking.
So he skitters
I'm
back.
out of my element.
This isn't my element either. We're in a fucking meat loop on the fucking moon.
Billy Fingers skitters down your neck, just like slides down it like a lover's caress, and disappears back into your suit. So Alyn, you come to these this sort of central console thing. As I said, kind of like Star Wars prison style. So there's like a big circular projector in the center, and then just sort of 4 consoles looking inward at that, with spinning chairs. You can see there are notes and again things scattered. A couple of like Amazon branded mugs with dregs of various like coffees and teas. What would you like to do at this sort of central control pod?
I want to. Can I pull up a file menu? See what my options are.
Go ahead with computing, please.
Okay, cool.
Playing Alyn's medieval strengths computing.
Yeah. I mean, Alyn remembers like a few things, right? From
that's true. You did
2099 days, so that's a 16.
Yeah. Tiffany was
taught me some stuff.
Okay with computers. So
You
you
went to HTML camp.
you pull up menus, and you can see that this is very much like the administrative center. Right now you're just kind of in like there is password protection to access sort of more of the functions, but in terms of just like opening things, you do have some access. You can like change the lights. There's like a clear indicator that the doors are sealed. You do have alarmingly, there's a pop-up status bar for the Zeus cannon that is charging. So right now it's at about 40%, which seems to almost be like, like Amber Alerts can just like nuke every phone immediately. It's that kind of thing where it's like a clearly like, hey, you're on the network, you should know about this.
Yeah, I definitely alert the other 2 about this for sure.
Great. Beyond that, you're looking at, again, without logging in, basic features like temperature in the room, lights. And then there's kind of like an admin access login window that does have a username typed in already. So that's helpful.
Ooh, what's the username?
The username is drone 69691 because it's not a 69 joke. It's just an unfortunate designation. So that is already logged in, but there is no password.
I try password.
Try password. All right. Sadly, password does not work. You may need to do some investigating in order to find.
Try it with a capital P.
I try it with a capital P.
Yeah, great. So you're going to try variations on password for the rest of the round.
69691.
Yeah. As you continue to hack,
it's called brute force. It's fine.
Yeah, we'll cut back to Declan.
Great. What can I learn about this contaminant protocol? Because he's looking for stuff that'll activate it, and more importantly, stuff that'll deactivate it.
Sure. Bringing it up, it's literally like one of those like work documents that's just like too many layers deep. It's clearly been written kind of like by the scientist for the scientist. It basically says like contamination protocols for meat lab systems as prepared by Dr. Nedry Moreau, comma PhD, MD, like just a full fucking alphabet. As you begin to scan through the material, it seems that the concern with the contamination protocol is, of course, that with this delicate ecosystem going on within this chamber, if anything were to get in here and fuck it up, that'd be real, real, real bad. So everyone who is in here has been everyone who works here has been bioscanned in order to the system recognizes them almost as like a welcome contaminant, so an accepted contaminant. So any new biological material that arrives in here is naturally considered a threat and a contaminant because the system doesn't know what to do with it. So that's as much as this thing gives you. But what it does tell you is that A, there are ways around it. And B, there's a lot of biological material in here. So there must be something, there's like a missing piece here that would seemingly allow you to get around this. You're just not sure what it is.
Do I have access to the staff logs of like who works here inside this computer?
No, but Alyn would if she can hack the main system.
Bam, he's switching over to Alyn's spot then if he heard that there's a way to get in.
Okay.
He'll go help her.
Great. Honour System, you want to give me your roll again? Unless there's something else you want to try. I would also give you mechanics if that's of interest.
Well, with Alyn calling out that there's some important stuff going on here in the central console, I might abandon that and see if I can help them get it as well.
Yeah, that's fair. So let's say then since all three of you are focusing your efforts on getting min access, let's give Ryan advantage on hacking it. Go ahead.
Okay. That is 27.
27. So as your like meticulously well-tooled machine just goes to work on like cracking this thing, it's just like running passwords and passwords and passwords. Alyn, you bump a mug with your hand that has Mr. Perfect on it and like a hand-printed picture of a cat. And Declan's like hacking machine immediately like pulls that up as a password, and you recognize the mug, you recognize the words on it, and you just quietly turn it. So it seems like a full Declan victory. No one needs to know that this password was in the open. And the system logs in. So
it's also like written like on one of the like post-it notes, like
100%.
password.
It's like under the desk. And someone has written like, it's a Mr. Perfect day for security! ! Smiley face, winky face. This guy's everyone's nightmare. So you're in. You've accessed the sort of admin console. So yes, you gain kind of the names and biometrics of the four people who normally work here, as well as Dr. Moreau, who obviously has access.
Great. I'd like to change the biometrics of two of the employees to match myself and Alyn.
You don't have a biometric scan of yourself and Alyn.
He would like to test that giant fucking thing in the corner to see if it is a scanner of, one would say, perhaps large samples for meat studies.
Excellent. All right, let me roll for the cannon. Okay. You can like the sensor suddenly jumps to about 80% as the cannon charges. It's clearly not giving you a 1-to-1, which is annoying as hell. It's like an old download where it's like 1 hour from now, 20 minutes. But cannon's charging. So yes, Declan, you rush over to the Miles O'Brien scanning station. I assume you're going to try and use the console itself, or are you going to examine the technology?
The console. He doesn't understand the tech. Okay. He knows robotics. This is way beyond him.
I'd let you use robotics on this if you want. It's basically a question of like, do you want to go through menus or do you want to look at how it's been built?
Menus. He's a menu boy. Yeah, deep down at heart.
All right, great. So I think based on what you've already learned, it's easy enough for you to ask Jane. I'm going to make you roll for this because I think you've kind of gathered enough. So yes, sure enough, this seems to be a large bioscanner that's like it's large enough to fit a cow or other such animals and objects. And yes, it looks like you've accessed it enough that you could easily figure out how to use it to scan someone. It would likely give you biometric data.
Great. I would like to scan. Alyn, I need you to get in this thing so I can scan you right now.
Wait. What's the scanner gonna do?
It's going to scan you so that I can put you in a computer and say you're not breaking the thing. This is not a time for conversation. We're at 80%. You tried to run into a wall. Get in the scanner.
Yeah, well, the Dr. Moreau thing is a little bit familiar, okay?
Great,
just want to make sure there's no freaking bear sharks in here and I'm
None
gonna
of
turn
that,
into a weird hybrid of something.
God damn it. Just get in a fucking scanner.
Alyn, being very frustrated at not being able to help more, just goes over there, but like huffs about it. Like she's...
That's fair. Yeah. I think that's earned. So you step into the scanner, Declan, you activate it, and it does like a full like body, like once down and over, and then begins to spin. And it's literally like if you've ever watched like 3D modeling or any of that, it's just like blasting Alyn with light and kind of scanning up and down your body. And the terminal, Ryan, that you'd left at the Flavorporium immediately like springs to life, and you hear like a toaster ding, and it just says, you hear like the Moreau's voice behind you say like, "New flavor profile ready. Please name your dish." And immediately, the like one of the slides comes out, and they begin to meat print just a big old slab of Alyn on the meat slide.
That's fine. Get out of the scanner. We're not going to eat you. Don't worry about it.
God.
He'll just like a tiny one comes out. They start scanning Billy fingers.
Yeah, he'll shove Alyn out of the scanner and set it up to auto go on himself and jump in.
You get a big old arrow light, and it says previous flavor profile not complete. Name your meal.
Alyn.
You realize you have to go like type it in. So Honour System can go do this for you.
System, go name the fucking flavor profile. Just something you can remember.
And please don't name it Alyn. I don't want to become a delicacy on this world.
Alyn, shut the fuck up is what I mean to you right now. We're all gonna fucking die. System, do it.
Honour System, what do you name the meal?
Not Alyn. Capital N.
Great. The GIF returns just goes, yum, yum, yum. I look forward to eating not Alyn. It continues to just stitch meat together on the slide. Again, toaster ding, scans you, Declan, and as soon as it's done, same thing, computer's saying like, name your flavor profile. What do you name it, Honour System?
Not Declan. Just...
I look forward to a soupçon of not Declan. And it begins to stitch your meat slide as well. As soon as both of your meals have been scanned, immediately like the lights blink back to kind of like a soothing blue, and Alexa just says like, "No further contaminants detected. Thank you for uploading meat profiles." And the doors begin to like, as of course, like the timer jumps to 100, the doors begin to unseal, and it's like 3 layers of frustration. You slap your helmets back on, and you're ready to go. Anything else you want to do in here before you exit?
I can't remember if we're aware that our pursuers might be coming this way or not.
Declan noticed he used his scope to see that like they were far away and like gradually moving forward, but still at distance.
Great. If it's not too difficult, if he gets sufficient resistance on this, Honour System would just bail. But would like to see if he could shove one of the vats over to basically barricade the entrance as we leave through the exit.
Yeah, I think you can do that. These things aren't like, they're delicate enough that they're not built for robot strength. I think if Declan or Alyn tried to do it, they'd have some difficulty. But sure, you can just like robo shove one of those over. So you slam it down in front of the entrance. As you remember from your initial map, you have 2 potential places you could be headed. You have attackers incoming. You've got the cannon getting ready to annihilate the meat hut. Do you want to aim for executive housing, where a lot of the Amazon execs who previously came up would be housed, and likely where you can find a lot of potential targets, as well as likely some higher level access. Or you can head to the Uber Hyperloop station, which will let you bypass some things. It's the only station in operation, so it'll get you directly to the Citadel if you can get it up and operational. But it means you'll be leaving some executives on the table. Which one will you be headed to?
I vote we go where the rich people are. I don't think they'll nuke us from fucking space if we're surrounded by their executives.
I would also like to kill them.
Yeah, I think they all deserve to die for, everything.
We may have conflict over the meat, but we all agree on the murder. And that's what I love about this team. Let's fucking do this.
And with that, the final door opens, and the three of you launch yourself out onto the surface of the moon once more, as the cannon begins to light up in space and unleash hell behind you.
Hang on. Alyn gets a 10.
You fall.
Yeah.
And we'll leave it for now.
This episode of Dum Dums and Dragons 2099 features the voices of Ryan LaPlante at the Ryan LaPlante on Twitter, Tyler Hewitt at Tyler_Hewitt on Twitter, Laura Hamstra at EL Hamstring on Twitter, and our DM Tom McGee at McGeeTD on Twitter. This episode's sound was edited and mixed by Laura Hamstra. The system we're playing is Carbon 2185, and Dum Dums and Dragons artwork is by Del Borovic, who can be found at delborovic.com. Our theme songs are Core Collapse and Sanctuary of the Sky Gods by Nathaniel Yaverne, and our ad music is No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, JAHZZAR, all available at freemusicarchive.org. When it comes to Dum Dums and Dice, you can visit our website at dumdumdice.com. Our Twitter and Instagram are at dumdumdice, and on Facebook at facebook.com/dumdumdice. But most importantly, we've got merchandise at redbubble.com/people/dumdumdice, or you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/dumdumdice. That's DUMBDICE. Now I'm off to do future things before we return for the next episode of Dum Dums and Dragons 2099. Dum Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time. The Half-Blind Prophet, Christopher Little, Sue One, George Dolby, Richard Cranium, Sammy Boy, Orion Birchfield, Scott Garland, Benjamin V, Gavin and Abby McDonald, Logan, Fire Unfriendly, Acrix, Grandma Likes D&D, Alyn, Austin Nut Powers Fry, Stabby Stranger, Glitch Trick, Roman Brown, Shulzari, Christian Mendez, Spot Allen, Flynn1138, Alarain Okapi, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.